All right, so I mean, space in Singapore aren't two words you put together, but we have someone who is on the race to send a man to space. So we have Mr. Lim Seng, and I don't think I have to do any more explanation. I'll let him do all of it. So let's welcome Mr. Lim Seng.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Is it working? Okay. So we just did lunch, and I have this challenge to keep you guys awake. So don't worry, just sit back and relax. Not many words, but about 20 pictures to share with you the journey of innovation. As I once told a minister, there is enough people in Singapore to talk about innovation. Somebody has to do it. So it's nothing like going through the actual process. I would say innovation, entrepreneur, and process. So a lot of people think that, of course, I mean, ideas is definitely very important. But you go to the toilet and you come back, you have 30 ideas, okay? So the point here is how to bring ideas into fruition, how to actually dirty your hands and do it. And why do people say that you need to be fearless of failure, okay? That is because you only learn when you do. And only when you do, you make mistakes. And you only improve when you learn from them. So the whole thing is all kind of, I won't say an ecosystem, but it's a closed-loop process from an idea, maybe from the toilet, and then you leverage on people, partners, smart people around you to get the thing done and bring it to market. So here, just sit back. I'm going to show you one of the many projects that In.Genius is doing to give a feel of what innovation is about, what the process of innovation, the journey of innovation from an idea to actually a product. And since this sharing or this conference is about big idea, at the end of it, I will try to present what I have shared at the October 2015 United Nations, whereby I was invited to give the opening speech with SpaceX and OneWeb on the future of space for the world. Okay, so just sit back, relax. Okay, here it is. This is a flight in 2016. It became quite a famous flight. It was because that we launched on the 16th of May, and we launched again on the 18th of May, 2016. And in between, NASA launched the same flight. So, as you know, when we go to space, or just below space, all of us has the ADS-B cosine tracking. So everybody can see that who is going to space at any time of the year. This is what we call the NASA format. And actually, to be factual about it, the Russians were the first one to do this in 1833. Before they sent Yuri Gagarin up to space, or before they send a monkey or a dog or whatever, you have to get acquaintance, get knowledge of what space is all about. And the most cost-effective way of doing that is using a helium balloon that you see behind. And this balloon is not something that you can Google and buy from Alibaba or eBay, okay? So, I mean, just in case, nowadays, millennium, they Google and buy everything, So, these balloons are produced in 3 space agencies of the world, only 3, and 1 private company. And we are very lucky to have access to this kind of material. So, February 2013, I was invited to the PLACE conference, and I announced that we as Singaporean, as tiny as we are, we will attempt to send a first Singaporean into space using our own modest ability. And after that, 6 months later, on the right, we commissioned the first space capsule that we design ourselves, fabricate ourselves, and test ourselves. Okay? Now, on the left side over there, can anybody tell me what we are trying to do? Can anybody guess what we are trying to do over there? What we are trying to do is, as in an actual rocket, we are doing what we call the cold flow test. Because when this fellow go up to space, into near space, then space, it will have a temperature variation of plus 28 all the way to minus 75, depending on which part of the world. But essentially, the differential in temperature is humongous. So almost everything that can crack will crack. Okay? So the purpose is to see that under such severe delta temperature, do the integrity of the system holds together in terms of pressure, in terms of electronics, in terms of material. So what we do is actually we cover it, and with our good common sense physics, and since we are, I won't say broke, but we are not very rich, so what we do is we get dry ice, and we cover it with dry ice. Because dry ice, if you do Google search, it will tell you that it's supplement at minus 78 degrees. So we buy tons of dry ice, and we cover the whole thing, and the temperature drop externally to minus 78, and internally, we measure consistently plus 17 degrees, which is very comfortable, especially if you wear a 4-layer spacesuit, okay? So this is how we do it. 6 months from February 2013, after announcement, we show people that we have a capsule to show that we are serious about this whole venture. Then we have 150 volunteers to be sent to space. I still remember there was a mother that insists to send his son to take part in this mission. And I keep telling the mother, I want to talk to your son, not to you. And somehow she refused. So I told her that, are you trying to get rid of your son or what? you know? So, and from 150, we scaled down to 50. From 50, after 1 year, this is 2014, after 2013, February, we scaled down to 26 of them. And what is very interesting is that you can see that besides the ugly guys, there are some very good-looking girls. Okay? So I remember Jack Neo. Jack Neo is a local filmmaker who came and see me. He said, hey, let's do this show because we have a boy to man. And then later we have maybe a boy to frogman. Now we can have a boy to spaceman. And I told him, no. Why don't we do a girl to space girl, even better, you know? So there you are, down to 26. And all these people that we interview from there, most of them that you see on the picture here, coincidentally, are the finalists today. And we have 6 of them left. So we have the myself as the interview panel. Sitting beside me is the senior advisor of the Prime Minister's office, our previous chief defense scientist. Next is Tim, who is an ex-NASA engineer working at Uber in Houston. And then the young man on black is the president of the Space Technology Association in Singapore. And one more guy, I regret, is not in the photo on the left, on the right of the Jonathan, is actually the chief pilot of SIA. So from there, we bring these 26 of them, and we went through all kinds of training. And 2 of the training were, we brought them to Vietnam and let them learn how to fly a paraglider in 10 days to acquire the P2 international license. If you try to do that, you will understand that it's not for everybody. And and when we are there, we are down to 15. Okay? So, as I tell people, fortunately, only 1 nearly died, that's all. Okay? Yeah, it happens, it happens. Then, after that, we bring them to do deep sea diving, whereby they have to get acquainted with pure oxygen. We were talking a bit about hypoxia just now, because not everybody can breathe pure oxygen. So this is not up to you. It's not about you being fit or not fit. It's whether you can take whiskey or you cannot take whiskey, you know. So, and then we went on, and then we showed the first capsule at Resort World Sentosa on the left. And then we showed the second composite capsule on the right in Wisma. And I remember the Sentosa guy was asking me, why are you so kind to put your capsule here free of charge, you know, for them, because I'm not charging them anything. And then I look at him and I smile and I say, you want to know the real reason? I say, my house cannot park 3 of the capsule. And then my daughter, who's seated somewhere there, used to take a picture and storm it to her friends and say that, well, we don't have a car at home, but we have a space capsule in the garage. So the one on the right, 8 primary school students can carry it. The one on the left, the red and white one, I think nobody can carry it. It's 500 kg and 50 kg difference. The prices is also very different. The 50 kg one is 3 times the price of the 500 kg because it's all made of composite. Purpose being that every capsule has its reason. The composite is to test all the RF and data link, and then the red and white capsule is to really test the main capsule in terms of pressure, integrity, which is very important because if you have a leak, again, like just now, one of the speakers said, when the oxygen mask drop, you wear it yourself first. So if there's a leak, you will die very fast. Okay, we'll go to that detail later. Then we have another capsule, which you will see later. We have 3 capsules. My way of doing things is always to commission 3 different people, 3 different clever people in 3 different parts of the world with the same specification and see who can come up with the best design. This is interesting. March 2015, we actually sent 3 rats to space. The first 3 rats died because of 1 leak in the valve. Okay? Then we went and buy a very expensive valve that cost 500 USD, and the next 3 rats survived. What was very funny about it is that before this mission in March, I was arguing with my team that, no, India, we just stay here for 3 days, and then they say, no, you need at least 5 days because it's quite complicated. At the end of the day, I stayed there for 46 days. Every day, curry vegetarian. Every day. You have to try that, I tell you. You have to try that. But fantastic people. These are the people, very smart Indian people from Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. At first, they don't even want to see me. But being an entrepreneur, you have to be very thick-skinned. I actually flew into Hyderabad, arrived at 4 a.m., went to the office at 7, and I seated outside the chairman's office till 7 p.m. And the chairman felt so threatened. Say, is that Chinese-looking guy still outside, And today we are the best of friends. They are the one actually behind helping with the Alan Baumgartner and Alan Utach and Felix Baumgartner flight. Then we went on after we have successfully saved 3 rats, sent them all the way to 31 kilometers for 29 kilometers, 29.5 kilometers, and having stayed there for 110 minutes, we have more confidence because that was to design the life support system. And it was also to test out the 3rd capsule, which was an aluminum capsule, which is good for sea landing. Okay? Then we went on to Alice Spring, May 2015, to do a drop test using a hot air balloon. So this is where we see our mathematics and physics validate with an actual drop test from 1,000 to 2,000 meters to measure the impact G-shock. And it was about 5G, which is quite respectable versus NASA below 10G. Then this is when we did that 2 famous flights, as I said, 16 to 18 May 2016. And you can see the rhythm. Everything is about after 6 months, after 6 months, after 6 months, okay, to keep the momentum. So this is where we did that 2 flights. And in the middle, it reminds me of a cartoon that shows training for terrorism, And the cartoon says that, watch carefully, I will only do it once. Actually, what happened here is that I'm actually arming the detonator, a Block C detonator, because you need that to cut the balloon off in space. If not, the guy will stay there for a long time. Then comes, during the same month, same year, there was engineering day or something like that. And then the journalist was saying that, you guys, it's an awesome project. And I qualified to him that it is awesome, not because of the technical complexity, but it is awesome because it's done by a team of 6 volunteers. So, and using our own money. So anything that we cannot buy, whereby there is plenty, because these are space stuff, we engineer and we build ourselves. Then we went on January this year to do another drop test, but this time is that we do a free fall drop test, okay? We cut it from 3 meter high, we hang it up, and we let the capsule crash onto the earth to measure again the improved crashables. Most of the astronauts in the early days died not because of the impact, but because of the rebound of the first impact, okay? So you cannot put shock absorber because spring will always give you back the energy. You need to design crashables that will absorb the energy, and that's what we did. And we will, how should I say, and we measure 2.5 G. So it's very good. And upon that, we didn't stop. We upgraded the parachute from 64 feet to 100 feet. And therefore, the descent terminal velocity will reduce from 7 meters per second to 5 meters per second, which is even better than a Ranger. So we foresee that the impact will be even better. And if you look at this capsule, if you look at the internal of it, there is still a 8G shock absorber under the F1 seat that we got from London. And I was joking with friends that if this thing crashed into the mountain, the chair will surely survive, okay? Because it's a very expensive race car chair that will survive a 40G shock. Then we went on and we flew to US to test the spacesuit. This is actually, I call it, okay, don't catch me there. I call it the Mercury Plus spacesuit because it has actually 4 layers, 2 layers of leather, 1 layer of Nomex, and 1 layer of something else, I can't remember, okay? And it is amazing. And here is amazing because the pilot we have is our current F-15 commander based in USA, and he is such an awesome guy. And this point I want to tell you is because you cannot do something great by yourself. You need a good team. It is never a one-man show. It is about getting the right people. And as in the early days, the journalists always ask me, what are you looking for? You know, there is a NASA list of about 25 attributes in choosing an astronaut. And one of them, on the 15, is written there that the guy or the girl has to be good looking. You know? Then they ask me why. I say, yeah, if this guy go to space and he get out of the capsule, and then he's so ugly, we never know whether he's an alien or he's So, super chap, I tell you, he's so cool about everything. It's amazing. Then on the 15th this year, we're supposed to take off, actually. So this is a place whereby everybody take off. NASA, JAXA, Australian Space Agency, everybody. Because it is a known spot on Earth whereby the wind on ground and the wind in heaven will be okay in the month of May. As Ravi Sood, which is the specialist that fly for NASA in Australia, which is just 100 kilometers from me, said in the interview that, I mean, it's really, Lim really has a bad luck because last year, same period, they flew 6 JAXA flights during that whole month. So, but I think God is kind to me because many a times during this 5-year journey, there were moments whereby I thought it's impossible to carry on in terms of I start with the worst one first. No one from the government here, right? Okay, bureaucracy is crazy. The risk adversity is crazy. Everybody will tell you, oh, you know, you have to be not afraid of failure. You have to be innovative. You have to take risks. I think they refer to everybody else except themselves. Anybody from the government here? So anyway, it's recorded, so it's okay. Now, so the important things here is that we were all there. Everybody were about 60 Singaporeans, all volunteers, to see how we do this. And as I said, God is kind because at every moment, whether it's red tape or technicalities, because, I mean, you take data link, for example. You take certain avionics component, for example. You take the explosive cutter, for example. You take the balloon, for example. All these are control items. So I think the fact that we can pull through this with all these components and a fantastic team is already It's already, I think, we take some merit for that. There you are, the family of, his name is Smash. Now he's in the capsule and all that. So, what I want to, as a take back for you also is that as entrepreneur, when you go out there, if you think that you're going to do everything yourself, then you are very wrong. You really have to depend on a good network, on good people that you can so-called either subcontract or work with them as partners, as a team to make this happen. So from an idea to a product or a service, it's never about a one-man job. And the Australian guy over there on the left side, sitting there, he's John Wallington. He's the guy that won twice the Australian hot air balloon competition. He's also the one that sent the Russian round the world last year. And I think he has done many other naughty things that I can't remember. But he's a fantastic guy. Oh yeah, these are all the hot backup. Okay? So yeah, you see the 3 rats that we send up are all female. Because I think female can endure pain better since they give birth. You know? I think guys will give up halfway through. So, there you are. If you want to contact me, In.Genius.GoSpace@gmail.com. And if you can, do me a favor. Take out your smartphone now and go into www.gospace.sg. Do it for me. Because if not, once you leave this, you'll never do that. So at least it's a very simple website or blog. Just go into it, www.gospace.sg. As I said, this project is awesome because it is just a group of normal Singaporeans trying to do something based on a big idea. So a lot of people ask me, why do you do this? Because it is truly very crazy financially too. Is that first intent is to give back to the society, as what JFK said, and I always say wrongly, I always say KFC. Okay, you see the power of advertisement. Okay, do what you can for the country and ask not what the country can do for you, something in that line. Then the second one is, it's a bit of national pride. It is not to do this to show other people that we can do it. No. We want to do this to show ourselves that we can do this. It's our own golf game. Okay? And then the third reason is where the rationale of this big idea is. First, people say that, okay, you want to send a first Singaporean to space. By itself, it's a big idea. Because we are not NASA. We are not even A-star, you know, if that means anything. We are just 6 people trying to do something for the country. And the big idea is actually to introduce near space to Singapore. This project started after I brought in the project that builds the hypersonic spaceplane demonstrator. And I explained to Minister Teo Chee and he asked me, why do you want to do this? I said that because that was just after we introduced the A380 from Toulouse to Singapore to Sydney for the long-distance flight test. And I said that if Singapore aspires to be a global air hub, it should have the vision to position itself as the future space hub. The hypersonic space plane traveled at Mach 5. It will reach London in 3 hours instead of 13. And therefore, you will only need about 2 to 3 space hubs in the world. So if we believe that we can do this, we should invest in such technology. So what we did was we actually built a demonstrator and we dropped it from the South China Sea. And after that project, I actually resigned and started with this so-called hobby in a way, okay? So it is, and where do we get the idea of the stratospheric balloon is because after building the hypersonic demonstrator, we need to drop test it from space. And to use a helicopter is just not good enough because the helicopter at max can bring you to 4 kilometers altitude, okay? And it's very costly. So what we do is I told my team to look into how the Russians and the Americans do it, and they use the stratospheric balloon. And I think one of the best champion in such technology and capability is the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, okay? So we went there, and I squat outside the chairman's office, and that was how the whole story started. So I think with that, the take back that I want you all to have is that, take this as an actual example of how an idea, all the way after 5 years into a system and a capability, and if all things go well, we will innovate a new platform that will occupy near space. Near space is 20 kilometers to 100 kilometers. It's called the Armstrong line at 20 kilometers. At 100 kilometers, it's called the Kármán line. Once you cross the Kármán line, we call it outer space. All this is invented by human. Okay, and if you are a good physicist, you will know that in life, everything is gradual. So it is a gradual depreciation of oxygen in the atmosphere. So what we are trying to do now is that nothing fly across 20 kilometers because our technology today for aircraft are all engine breather. You need to burn fuel. Therefore, only the U-2 fly at that height, and a F-15 can stay there for about 5 minutes. And then, if you want to fly satellite, it has to be 200 kilometers away because you need the orbital mechanics to keep it afloat by spinning around, creating gravitation. But from 20 to 100 kilometers, there is no one there. So, as we engineers always say, have the vision to see what is not there yet, and the courage to do what others cannot imagine. So that's what we're trying to do. Thank you. Any easy questions? Any easy questions?
Perhaps you guys can ask questions, so just line up and ask Mr. Lim Seng for it.
Hi, yes, please. Thank you. Sure. Sure. Actually, as I said from the beginning, this whole project, why it is awesome is because it is self-funded, okay? It's all paid by my family, all right? And, yeah. And just like the guy from London, I'm not paid for this speech. So the point here is that I'm in this business to know that if you want to do something so risky, especially in the context of Singapore, you have to put where your money is. You have to do your own seed funding. Right now, as we talk, we are having R&D project to design new shape, new spacecraft that can stay up there in about 35 kilometers. If we get that right, it will disrupt all the existing technology services that you can think of today. Yeah. And if you put 30 of these above South China Sea, we will create our own digital One Belt, One Road. And as I shared at that United Nations speech is that people ask me, why do you want to do such a thing? Because I was saying that, imagine that we reinvent this internet from scratch. Okay? That didn't get me invited. I got invited was because I added this. Base it in space, not connected to Earth. It has a lot of implication in that sentence. Okay? And imagine you shoot a laser beam from point A to point B. If you are floating at about 25 kilometers, you should get a range of 1,000 kilometers. But you don't have to go through the bureaucracy of Malaysia, London, Thailand, Vietnam, China, whatever. You just shoot through. Okay? So, if you buy me some beer, I can tell you more. Yes? Sure. Which one? Oh my God. Then I may be using some foul languages. I tell you, bureaucrat sucks, I tell you. How should I say? But to be fair, it's amazing. Anybody from Australia here? I'm going to say something nice, so it's okay. It's amazing, you know. They actually sent the email that was written by their chief legal counsel to me. And he says, what have you done to this guy, you know? He wrote there that for Mr. Lim, we will give him in principle approval of all flights. Second sentence. Dispense of all forms. Oh my God. You know, I think I took the email and I showed it to the Prime Minister's office. You know, Singapore government people is nothing but forms. Amazing. Amazing. I spoke with the Deputy CEO of Spring. 56 pages. My God. I tell you, I can be a consultant for form filling in Singapore. Okay? And then after that, no reply. No reply. It's amazing. It's amazing. I cannot say more. If not, I may have to migrate to Australia. And what happened was this, and the guy told me this, you know, I said, two possibilities. Either you're giving him some under-table money, or you guys are gay. I have never met the guy before. They are so supportive. And I wrote to your minister, Megan Cash, and she replied me in person last week. And therefore, I'm going to meet your ambassador, and I'm going to fly to Canberra to do something fantastic with the Australian. Because you guys just opened your space agency on the 1st of July, and where we were there in May. So I have quite a lot of good ideas to share with them. Okay? So, yep. So in that case, I just want to say that, well, you know, it really depends who you meet in life, you know. And I think if I can give a constructive, I won't say criticism, I dare not, a constructive comment to our government, which I have given a lot already, by the way, okay? As I was in the talking point, I said the same thing as you guys, that our educational system, just like in US, just like in UK, just like in Germany, is from the Bismarckian system, which is 100 years old. Nothing wrong with that, knowledge base. But I said, why? And it was on live TV, if you track it. Why do we still need to learn the sex life of a mosquito? You know? So everybody paused. Because when I say sex life, I paused for a long while. So they all got worried. Then I said, don't worry, of a mosquito. You know? So the point here is that it has to be now shift to the processes rather than to the content. The content you can find easily. But how to bring a team together, all the soft skill, all the life skill, how to be a team player, how to be a leader, how to lead, how to be an example, how to act. As I also told CNA, you need the people. You need to put them in action. Then you can have a party. Any more questions? Yeah. Last one now, huh? Okay.
Hello, In.Genius here.
Yep.
So, I think my question is regarding your vision of the Space Hub. I think it's really interesting.
Sure.
So all three space companies that I'm aware of, Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin,
Yeah,
whatsoever,
sure.
I think Elon Musk have mentioned about how less than 1 hour flight
Sure.
is possible in space, right? So for Singapore, geographically constrained, I don't know too much about space, but what is it that you imagine in your vision that we can enable this to happen for Singapore, maybe for ASEAN, maybe,
Sure.
and maybe then to picture it for us?
Sure. Actually, as I told EDB and Enterprise Singapore, it's really, I really believe what I said. That is, you must first believe in yourself. As I once told Honorable Sharp of Australia, the physics in Singapore is the same as physics in Australia, or the physics in Paris. We were discussing about some satellite radar project then. The point here is that we pride ourselves to be straight A's and all that BS, you know. And then we dare not do a shit, you know. Oh, sorry, it's a 4-letter word, I realize. You know, come on, guys. It's only in doing. It's not failure. Maybe is a wrong word. It is only in doing that you make mistake, that you learn from mistake, and you become better. Once a journalist asked me, why when you talk about the hypersonic space plane that is flying at Mach 5, upon returning to Earth at 150,000 feet, it has to do a dive to pick up at 4G and switch on the turbojet engine and hope that it works. All that in 3 seconds. Okay? I think the pilot would have fainted, and all the passengers would have been all to the tail end of the plane. Okay? It's because, as we know in such project, just like the A380, it took about 5 years, which is very fast. Typically, it takes 7 years, maybe because it's biblic, okay? Now, and it will go through 400 series of wind tunnel tests, which means what? First, as I said, my method is always, I will call 3 different partners all over the world. One from Berlin, one from Brazil, one from Singapore, since I'm Singapore. And I say, okay, you have good application. You know what is a hypersonic plane, right? If you don't know, please Google, right? And give me a design. Just give me a design. Draw something. And then build a 80 mm prototype and put it into the wind tunnel. Do the necessary measurement of the control services. Build a 5-scale model and drop it from sky. And you repeat this 400 times. Guys, you must be really idiot not to get something out of it. Right? So the point here is that you must believe in yourself. You must be given the opportunity. You must keep doing. You must keep crashing. And you learn. And at the end of 400 series of wind tunnel tests, over 7 years, from South China Sea drop test to maybe Bordeaux Montmartre Song to Kiruna, Sweden, North Pole, because you go higher and higher. You will surely succeed in something. So I remember my first speech to the group of 600 engineers, mainly French and Germans. I said that if anybody believes that this project will not crash, you are in the wrong room. You know? Of course it will crash. Just like the first drop test in South China Sea, it crashed royally. Okay? But that's not the point. Then you pick up from there, you revalidate the parameters that you measured in the wind tunnel test, and you build a better shape. And you keep doing that for 400 times. And if you still don't get something out of that, then you'll be sacked and join the gig economy. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lim Seng. Next up, we have the